Welcome and thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be reading from the Arch Book series, the story of Zerubbabel, and we're going to be reading this from these sections of the Bible: Haggai 1:1 and 2-5, from the book of Haggai, Zechariah 4:6-10, and Ezra 1:1-4, and the third chapter, 20th verse. Our children's version today is written by Constance Head, and that's going to be a story of this family. This is one of the original Arch Book series from the third section that they came out with. In one of those subsections, they will have this story that we have about. And it's going to be, again, taken from these three books, and we can get started now and see their perspective on this story. So here it is. 2,500 years ago, and maybe a little more, a boy was born in Babylon, beside the Shebar shore. What shall we call our little son? His parents asked each other. He needs a very special name. So spoke the baby's mother. Someone here is special. And so we're going to name him a special name. Give him a name that will recall this land where he was born, a name that will remind us of our exile, so forlorn. The boy's grandfather spoke these words. The parents heeded well. We'll call him Child of Babylon. That is Zerubbabel. So this is to commemorate what was happening around the time that he was born, what kind of climate was happening around them, and really is very influential in the world here, them being in Babylon because they were exiled there from, their holy land, their promised land, because that was the consequence of their actions. And now they're going to be there for some time. God is allowing this to happen. So they're going to name him that baby there that's going to grow up in Babylon. But that's not where their family background is. That's not their ethnicity. That's not where they, the parents grew up in. It's new for the parents as well. And this is going to be where this boy is born and raised, for the most part, at least. And so and the years flew by. Zerubbabel was a young man, strong and true. He loved the land of Babylon, the only home he knew. But he also loved the stories his grandfather often told of another country far away where he lived in days of old. That he did live for some time because he is, older. And it was pretty still recent news and stories that he was telling his grandson here as well, because it wasn't that long ago for this man was still young. He was still able to tell him kind of what should be still going on right now. He proceeds to tell him, "Once I was king," grandfather said, "in Judah, my native land, a lovely place with hills and streams far across the desert sand. But the mighty king of Babylon took my kingdom from me, and later he burned Jerusalem, our city so fair to see. He destroyed the temple of the Lord and carried God's people away. He moved us here to Babylon, and here we are to this day, a people without a country, no home to call our own." So spoke grandfather Coniah, the king without a throne. So he was telling him about how he was king in Jerusalem, and this was about in a country that had a lot of meaningfulness in their stories, or miraculous stories here with the Lord. And so he proceeds to tell him about how he was king. This is not something that he has pictures of, that he's able to physically see, unfortunately, but he was able to learn a lot by listening to these stories. And the grandfather really trying to find the best words here, eloquently tell the stories and descriptions of all these things that he's talking about, to make a point that it was a beautiful holy land, but now they have been exiled, at least for some time, because the Lord thought it was needed. And it's just the timeline of the events here, but God is a God of Redeemer,